know what not to do. Blind spots is one of those things we talk about and by the way, Bo, I feel like we're really good at this tip number 8. Because we're going to share all the mistakes that we've either done or things we've seen clients do in the past, and we just want you not to fall in these same traps.
Now, you may be thinking, oh, okay, guys, obviously you're going to tell me don't borrow more than I should, right. Don't buy too much. No. These are mistakes that we've made. These are mistakes that we see actual financial mutants make, not errors of commission because they meant to do something. They're errors of omission. They didn't realize, oh, maybe that's a bad idea. And there are a few different camps that this falls into. The first is the decisions you can make that might affect your lending. Maybe you didn't realize, oh, I'm in the process of buying a house. I'm in the process of moving and improving and changing my life. And right square in the middle of that, I'm going to change jobs. I have this new opportunity presented myself, and so I'm going to change jobs. Well, now, all of a sudden, you don't have the same earnings history that you once had. When they say, hey, show me your past couple months of pay stubs, you say, oh, well, I was kind of out of work for these 2 months because I just got this brand new job, and here's my pay stub. It could affect your rates. It could affect the ability of the lender to loan you those dollars.
Yeah, now don't mishear us because I see so much bad content out there on real estate purchases. Mm-hmm. First of all, don't do any fraud. Mm-hmm. I don't want you telling somebody that if this is like we're doing primary residence for this show today, but a lot of you guys have seen content out there for people buying rental property say, just check the box that it's your primary. No, that is fraud.
Mortgage fraud.
And it's the same thing when you even thinking about these big life decisions like on lending is that, look, we're not telling you that you can't. You're going to have to make big life decisions, but we're just saying, just take the timeline into account with this big transaction. It ties into what Bo was just saying. If you know you're thinking about changing jobs, but you also want to buy a house, you need to build those into the plan together. Mm-hmm. It's because if you change jobs right before you buy the house, your lender probably doesn't have the same variables to go off of, and that can be a big problem. So those big things that are going on in the background, make sure you're building that into your timeline. It's the same thing also with moving large sums of money. That's right. Anytime we've done underwriting, the lenders are going to immediately ask you to send multiple months of your bank records. Mm-hmm. The reason they do that is they want to see what your monthly history, your cash flow looks like. They also want to know, where did the money come from?
That's right.
And if you all of a sudden have huge transactions coming in and out of your account, they're going to want to know what that is. So just be very aware if you're going to have to be able to explain, where's the down payment coming from? It can't be mystery money. Mm-hmm. So you have to be very careful with how you're structuring and where this money, what it looks like, so that the lender's not scared by large chunks of large transactions all at once.
But not only could it affect your lending, some of the decisions you make may actually affect your credit score, might actually affect the terms that you get because of stuff that you do. Some really easy examples of this are, hey, I'm going to buy a house. I have a friend who did this, Brian. This is what this sucker did.
It's me. I don't mind being honest because I think I shared it in Millionaire Mission.
Well, tell him the story. What happened?
I've screwed this up so bad. Guys, this is how much remember, I don't come from money. So I'm just like a lot of you guys, if you're in your 20s and you're watching this content, you're like, man, I wish somebody would just tell me so I don't make mistakes. I made the mistakes is because my first home purchase, we were looking at furniture. And the first thing, they offer you when you buy like a table and you buy a couch and this stuff, they tell you, hey, if you open up a line of credit with us, get a store credit card at this furniture store, we'll give you 10, 15% off the bill. Well, I'm a financial mutant, and I'm like, hot diggity dog.
That's free money.
I'm spending thousands of dollars. We're going to cut hundreds of dollars off this bill. I paid for it and then some because it screwed up my mortgage application because I had a credit hit right before I went to go get the mortgage. That is a mistake. The other thing that I'm such a knucklehead about, I was like, you know what? I am such a good person with my money. I've always been so disciplined. I don't do credit card debt and all these other things. I had like 2 or 3 credit cards, and I was like, you know what? I bet what the banks want to know is that I don't have access to a lot of debt.
I'm not using all this debt.
So I was like, I had 3 credit cards. I went and closed one of those credit cards because I was like, you know what would be better is if I actually closed this credit card because it would now show that I didn't have access to even more credit. That is a false. If you don't know how credit bureaus do things, access to credit actually can be a better thing for them. Also, don't lower your credit amounts thinking that is not the type of window dressing. Any type of closing old credit limits, or letting credit access levels go up or bringing it down. Don't do all that rigging or moving around at the last minute. You'll more than likely hurt yourself more than help yourself.
You may be asking, though, how do I know this? How would I even know these things? Remember, if you have the right team in place, they can answer these questions. You should have these conversations with your lender. You tell your, hey, lender, I'm thinking about buying a car. Is that going to affect this home purchase? Hey, lender, I'm thinking about paying off my car this month. Is that going to affect any decision that you make that could have something to do with your credit? Ask your team of professionals, and they might say something. Hey, I love that you're paying off your car. Just don't do it this month. Wait 2 months. Wait till we get past closing. Wait till we get on the other side of this transaction. Then do these things so that it doesn't send up any red flags. This is the reason why you have a team in place. And that leads us to tip number 9. We want to make sure you're doing all this stuff really well. Again, the home is likely the largest purchase you will ever make. So when it comes to making such a big purchase, we want you to take your time and really think through the decision.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't even on the list, but I don't mind sharing, is that I remember on my first closing, my wife and I just showed up with a checkbook. And you can imagine, we get into the attorney's office and he's like, okay, we never got the wire.
You said, wire? No, I got my checkbook right here.
Remember, we don't come from money, so it's not like we had parents that are like, hey, make sure you show up and do this. Well, I showed up with a checkbook thinking this was So I'm telling you, that's why you don't have to. We want you to know what you're getting yourself into, and that's why it's okay. Deep breath, slow down, measure twice, cut once, so you don't screw this up. And that's why I would tell you the same thing is don't get overexcited on that first house. Just, you get excited with the process. I want you to actually get a house that you like, that fits your needs. Don't just feel like you have to commit to the very first house you tour and see, because it might not be the best house just because it's your first house.
And don't fall so much in love with a house that you put blinders on to things that you should be paying attention to. We saw this in recent years where rather than people getting a full inspection, they would just waive that and say, hey, I don't need the inspection. No, I don't need that. I just need a cursory look. It's worth it for you to make sure you have someone actually make sure that this house is exactly the way the seller says it is. I'm even a proponent, even though it costs more money, I think it makes a ton of sense to pay for an independent inspection where you hire the inspector to inspect the house and give you a report, because that inspector doesn't work for the bank. It doesn't work for anyone besides you. And you want to get that full understanding of all the great parts and wonderful parts about this house that you love, but also all the warts and the creaks and the cracks that you should be aware of before you enter into the actual closing.
Yeah, I mean, every real estate transaction I've done in the last 10 years, I've done inspections upon inspections. If you're buying a new home, get an inspection of the processes. Don't assume just because it's new, it doesn't need an inspection. If you're buying a used home, there's all kind of, you can look into mold, you can look into, there's all kind of things. Don't be scared. This is your chance to kind of make sure you're getting it right on the front end. So take advantage of those inspection periods and do the work on that.
And then don't get pulled into a bidding war you can't afford. Again, so often we go see a house, or maybe we're late in the buying process and we've seen 100 houses and we finally found the one that we are convinced we just love this home, love this home, love this home. But all of a sudden someone else loves it. And so they make an offer that's a little bit higher than yours. And then you make an offer, and then it goes back and forth. And before you know it, you forgot all about that work you did when you got pre-approved. You forgot all about that work you did when you did the home buying calculator, and you get yourself in a situation that you cannot get out of. Do not do that. There are going to be other homes. There are going to be other opportunities. And one of the things you can do to help keep yourself grounded is when you're looking at homes, and even when you find that home that you love, go visit it a number of different times. One thing that I always do before I ever buy a piece of real estate, because I did this wrong the first time, is I go to it if I can on a day that it's raining. I want to see what water management looks like. Does the place stay dry? Does the water go the places it's supposed to go? Or is it operating the way that it should operate? I would visit the house a number of different times. I'd visit in different weather conditions, and I would visit it at different times of the day, because I think it was someone on the content team said, yeah, bought a house, had no idea there was a railroad track so close. Yeah. If you had done the due diligence, you might have figured that out. So take your time. Don't feel like you have to go fast, because you don't want to make a very, very fast, very, very poor decision.
drive to the kids' school that
Oh,
they'll be
that's
going
great.
to, or commute to the job that you think you're going to do, so you can see the traffic flows.
Do it at 8 a.m. and 5 p.m.
Don't
every
just
day.
assume it's going to be perfect, because you know how those traffic patterns can definitely be impacted. And that's to the 10th tip, is there is no one perfect home.
That's right.
I mean, we're not perfect people, but homes definitely are not perfect. And that's why we just want to make sure you go into this with your eyes wide open, so that you turn this into, something that brings joy, happiness, and even financial fulfillment to your life, and is not a big regret or a money pit.
And it's okay to have some musts. Hey, this house must have the master bedroom on the main floor. This house must have a yard that's big enough for a pet, whatever. It's okay to have must-haves, but just recognize that there's not going to be a perfect home that has everything, unless you have the budget to be willing and able to do everything. And so one of the things you may want to think through is, when it comes to buying a home, is there a home? Do I want to buy an already constructed home, or do I want to go with a new build? Because with a new build, I do get to pick the things. I get to pick small things like the types of flooring or the paint colors, or maybe I even get to do big things like floor plan layout. But if I go that route, there is going to be a premium associated. I'm going to pay more likely if I'm going that route. So I want to make sure it still sits inside of the affordability that I have for my unique financial situation.
Now, we're doing this in, the latter part of 2025. And there is a unique thing. Typically, exactly what Bo said, there is a premium for buying new construction. But this housing market is so unique right now. I just saw the headline come out in the last few weeks, is that right now, because of incentives, because of these crazy high interest rates and other things, incentives that builders and others are offering right now, we're in a unique time where sometimes a new construction can actually be a better deal than even an existing home.
Yep.
And I'll tell you, from my own experience, when I was moving to out of state to a new community, the new home was the only way I could get a house, is because houses were moving so fast.
Right.
And I was out of state. There was bidding wars. New construction was that bridge that allowed me to get into the community. And here's another thing that's not financial. I liked moving into a brand new neighborhood because everybody else was a transplant in that neighborhood too. And it helped me build community with my neighbors that much sooner. So take these things into account, because like I said, no home is perfect, but there's definitely things you can do for in your best interest that's going to help you come out and land on 2 feet and just get the best opportunity out of this big transaction.
Yeah, home is a use asset. So just because one property you find may be the first one that you fell in love with, it likely doesn't mean it's going to be the only one that you fall in love with. And if you can go into the buying process with that mindset, that there's not one perfect home, there's not one perfect solution, but there's a good chance that we could make any home our home, you're likely going to set yourself up to make a much better decision for the long term. These 10 tips hopefully will help you figure out, how do I do this well? How do I navigate this well so that I'm not one of those people that was surveyed in 2023 and 2024 that regrets making the home buying decision. We'd rather you be someone like us who I've loved all the homes that I've bought, and I've loved every one of them and the unique things about them because I made the decision very slowly and I approached it with the gravity that the decision of buying a home should have.
Look, this is an emotional transaction that's got big numbers attached to it. So that's why it was so important for us to give the tips that both had the perfect balance of the analytics, meaning the dollar and cents, but also getting the behavioral or controlling the emotional side of this. Guys, if you're not going to moneyguy.com/resources and taking advantage of some of our checklists and our calculators, I think you're missing out.